And looks like I am live here for an impromptu thank you Q&A AMA for 160,000 subscribers, which I hit, I don't know, a week and a half ago. Thank you so much for making that happen. The fact that you guys care what I have to say about anything, would click on even this video right now, means the world to me. And it did kind of change the trajectory of my life as I'm able to now talk movies full-time for a living. Thank you so much for making that happen. And let's get started talking about whatever you guys have in mind. I'm looking at the questions that are in here right now. There's a ton of you just asking, what's your favorite? What's your favorite? What's your favorite? I'll tell you right now, I don't keep lists of favorites. And so I skip over a lot of those questions because I do not have answers to them. And so almost every question I'm seeing right off the bat is a favorite question. And a lot of the questions you're asking me are also tied to videos I've already done before. And so by default, I tend to skip over those. So let's see what we can find in here and have some new exciting questions to answer. Oh, it's tough. Ethan, have you seen the movie Parasite? Yes, I saw Parasite actually about a month, 6 weeks before it came out at Fantastic Fest. Bong was in attendance and everything. I saw actually a double feature of Parasite, and then it was Knives Out. That was a nice double feature at a film festival. So I saw it. I talked about it in multiple videos of mine, the Fantastic Fest video, end of the year video, and then my video where I talked about whatever month it came out. I talked about it in that video as well. What's your favorite live action Disney live action remake? I have a whole video on that. I have two videos on it, actually, kind of with my whole elaborated thoughts on that. Luke, favorite Spider-Man? I've got a whole video dedicated to that one as well, where I dive into it. And essentially, I answered that question in this week's video as well. Cool Kid, what's your least favorite movie? It's Alien 3. Alien 3 is the answer I always give on that one. It's not the worst movie ever made. There's a lot of professionalism, and I would shout it's a David Fincher film, so of course he's a great filmmaker. But the choices that they made as just the starting inciting incident for what happens right out of the gate, from the get-go, just kind of felt like a betrayal of the previous film. So it just didn't. It was a movie that just infuriated me from the get-go. I've never stopped being angry about it, so not one that I like, because I mean it hurt the previous film, all that fun stuff. Something else. Will you try to watch Stargirl after seeing the reviews? That's not the reason I would watch it. I might just check it out of pure curiosity, but you know, all of these shows that are kind of tied to the CW, I'm burned on them. I'm not very interested in them as a whole, because they keep burning me. They keep heading down paths that is just like, I just wasted my time on all of this. Beta Dog, how do you feel about all the James Bond movies? I feel there's some good ones, there's some bad ones. It's interesting to see a character progress over the decades. It's a little bit weird to go back and watch the Sean Connery and Roger Moore films in the year 2020, because there's some stuff that Bond does in those films that would not fly in the year 2020. It's weird. It's pretty awkward to watch some of it. Has not aged well. Itzy, Star Wars ranked. I've got that on my channel. Have you seen Better Call Saul? That is answered actually down below in the description. Like I said, a lot of these questions that you're asking questions related to things I've done videos on. And so like some of these questions, go ahead and just do a search for them and you'll kind of discover my thoughts on a lot of the things that you're asking about. Nightwing, would you like to see Matt Murdock in MCU movies? Yeah, I don't think I want Daredevil, the TV show, to cross over with the movies. I don't want Charlie Cox, because I think that the tone is too different. I don't think they mesh well. And so having it is kind of like this, yeah, wink, wink, they're associated, but not really. I think that worked well enough, but I don't, just the tone of the Netflix shows was so serious that I don't think you can just cross him over and make it work naturally. But I would love to see them do a take on him, their new official take. All right, we had a super chat come in from Andrew Luck. I'm having trouble finding it to put it up on the screen. Andrew Luck asks, and thank you so much for the super chat. What's your thoughts on the pirate reboot? I'm fine with it. I'm not someone that's in that camp that believes that Johnny Depp is the secret to Pirates of the Caribbean. He, of course, was awesome. He was a key ingredient, but that's not the same thing as saying a Pirates movie can't work without him. And we have a bunch of movies with him that didn't work. And so I think a great story, the tone they set, the mix of adventure with supernatural stuff at the high sea, all of that stuff is what Pirates of the Caribbean is. And whether it's Johnny Depp or it's someone else, you can make the movies work. So I'm totally open to it. But what I don't like is when they pitch it as, we're doing Pirates of the Caribbean with girls. Okay, yeah, but what's your plot? What's your pitch? Like, that's not, with girls is not, if you do that with anything, like we're going to do a female-led Star Wars movie, like, okay, yeah, but what is the movie about? What is the movie about? That's cool. I'm all for change of pace, changing it up a little bit. But what's the story? That's when I get excited, when I see a trailer, the full creative team, get a better vibe for what it is rather than kind of very basic description of Pirates of the Caribbean with that's female-led. Once again, a lot of the questions you're asking, a whole lot of them are video. I've done videos on them, so I don't particularly want to answer them in this context where I can tackle new things. So if you have a question like about a movie, or like people ask about 1917, and like I have video reviews on my main channel about those. Hey, Sean, have you seen Doctor Who? I've seen some Doctor Who. I have not seen a lot of Doctor Who. So I watched series 1 and I just didn't really like it. It didn't click with me. And I've heard from a ton of people, hey, try it. Start with series 2. There's a new Doctor. People said, like, start with series 6. There's a new Doctor. Maybe you're right. And at some point in time, I'm sure I will. My son's hearing a little bit from the stuff he watches, so he'll probably want to check it out at some point in time. And I've watched Torchwood Series 3, and I liked that a lot more than I liked Doctor Who, but I didn't like it enough that I kept watching Torchwood. So there you go. Earth Drawn, what inspired you to start this channel? Are you happy? Am I happy? Yeah, I feel like I'm living the dream. I feel incredibly lucky and blessed that I get to do what I do. The short answer is it's what I say in all my videos, that I was driving everyone around me crazy talking about movies way too much. That is a slogan. That is a catchphrase. It's designed to be a little bit catchy and repeatable. But that's at the core of it, that I talked about movies more than the people around me. I would go on these little lectures about John Williams scores and stuff like that. And so I always knew I was a person that just talked about it a lot. I always went to the internet to talk about movies. I was in the comment section of other people's stuff. And so then 10-ish years ago, when Chris Stuckman, Jeremy Johns started creating videos, and then John Campea started the original version of Movie Talk, I found all that stuff. And I was like, I could do this. I could do this sort of thing. And that kind of started sparking ideas in my head that led me to experiment with it, going all the way back to 3 years before this channel really started. On this channel, I posted like prototype videos. And sometimes when I say I started in 2016, someone always likes to chime in and be like, well, actually you started in 2013. I posted videos on the channel in 2013. I started regularly posting consistently under the brand Sean Chandler Talks About in 2016. That's the start of what this thing is. But it's just, I like to talk about movies, and so that's why I started, and I was lucky enough that this whole thing took off. Here's a question I get every single day. Selma, have you ever watched Avatar: The Last Airbender? No, I haven't seen a single episode of it. I can't rank the seasons. People ask me all of the time. I mean, daily. I get direct messages from people asking me about it, and yeah, I just haven't. I probably will, because I'm getting so many requests just to have something to say, because I get the question so often. Once again, you guys are asking a lot of like, what's your favorite, and can you talk about this thing that I have a video about? And so like I kind of filter those questions out simply because there's so many questions in here about things that I haven't talked about. Have you seen The Martian? I've seen The Martian. I think I only watched it one time, actually, though. I saw it in, I think I saw it in a theater. Had a good time with it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. I thought it like had all the right emotions. It was a mix of a lot of stuff that worked well for me. Evan, would you rewatch A View to Kill? Yeah, I would. I wasn't a big fan of it, but I would watch it again. Harry, any plans on more game reviews? Sure. It's always about games that line up with what I talk about on my channel. Things that make sense, like there's obvious crossover. I'm not a gaming channel. I'm never gonna like lean heavily into like regular gaming reviews because I don't game enough to be able to do that. But when a new Star Wars game comes out, when a new Marvel game comes out, when a new DC game comes out, stuff like that is just prime for me to talk about because there's going to be a lot of crossover between my movie fans and video game fans in that. And so it's an interesting break from the norm. And so that's the stuff that's most prime. So that when the Avengers game comes out, absolutely, I'm going to check it out. But there's a bunch of them like that I'm always looking for those. But it's not just generically like Last of Us. That's not one that would immediately, I better rush out to do this because I'm not a big enough gamer to cover something that seems a little bit different like that. Not that I wouldn't. I might. It's entirely possible that, I might review it once I've played through them or if I play through them, but it hasn't happened yet. And it wasn't one that I felt was like, I better rush to do this. Jack, what are your thoughts on World War Z? If you've read the book, do you think the film was a good adaptation? Thanks for creating great content. So I have an interesting answer for you. I've read the book, but I haven't seen the movie. I've never seen the movie World War Z. It just never happened. Like, there's no reason. It's not like I was like, oh, I hate nothing like that. So I can't, unfortunately, contrast the two. But I mean, back, was it 15 years ago? The book came out a while ago. And I was, I think I stayed a couple weeks in Denver with my brother. And I didn't have a car there because I was at his house. And so I just got that book. I think he had it, actually. I think I might have borrowed his copy of it. Just started reading through it. It's from, was it Max Brooks? Is it Mel Brooks' son that wrote it? Something like that. It's really interesting. And the vibe of the hook of the book, I think this is where a lot of people were like, this is a weird adaptation of the book, even though I haven't seen it, so I can't say this, is because the hook of the book is that it's basically set like 10 years, is years after the zombie apocalypse. And there's the journalist is trying to figure out what happened. That's the whole hook, is that we're kind of past the part where the world ended and it's like the world's starting to be rebuilt. So what happened? So he's interviewing all these people. And so some people, felt like that's not how things played out. Mohammed, how old are you? I am 38, about to turn 39. So extreme in age. Here's one. I guess this means you didn't watch yesterday's video. Favorite movie character, Rocky Balboa. Rocky Balboa is my favorite movie character. Cameron, could you make a definitive list of the top 6 strongest MCU villains right now? Nope, I could not do that. I don't really think that way. That's not, like, the reason I haven't done videos like that is that I'm just not wired in a way to be like, to speculate as to who's the strongest of a category of imaginary characters that I haven't met in person. So which one of these people can pick up more stuff, or which one can shoot stronger laser blasts from their eyes? I just don't operate in that space. So it's not something that I would naturally have a strong opinion on. TJT Reviews had a super chat, but it doesn't appear there was a question attached to it. So sorry, I can't answer that one. Is there any chance you would rank the Quentin Tarantino films? I have ranked the Quentin Tarantino films. I keep saying this, but a lot of your questions, just search Sean Chandler plus Quentin Tarantino ranked 1917, whatever it is. I've made like 1,300 videos. I've talked about a lot of stuff. Thoughts on the Uncharted movie? I've talked about this on my podcast a lot. I actually have a video where I kind of elaborate on some of this. The short answer is I am baffled by the direction that they're going with this in that they're getting Tom Holland. I am a big fan of Tom Holland, but I really just do not understand why they're getting a young person when Nathan Drake at the beginning of the first game is like 30. And so it's instead of doing a translation of the game, the people fell in love with this character at this stage of life. They're like, all right, let's do a take on it. You don't need to do a take on it because it's the first thing. So it's really frustrating when they do stuff like that. Okay, looks like there were some super chats that got lost in the mix, so I'm going to try and play catch up on some stuff. My software I'm using, I thought it was going to help me out. It didn't help me out as much as I thought that it would. So first one on here. Have you seen Birdman? I have seen Birdman. I've seen, I watched it in the theater, actually. It's the only time I've ever watched it. I thought it was a very cool film experience, a little bit of an interesting one to kind of explore this character and explore the experience of actors with film criticism, especially in light of the fact that now it's interesting to reflect on it now as a person in the film criticism space. But just the fact that the creativity, the one shot, very cool experience. But it's not one that I've gone back to. All right, next super chat that I mixed was from Majestic Demon. Your Funko collection must be getting pretty big. Yeah, it is. I've especially this month, I've received a ton of fan mail. Thank you guys so much for your generosity. But it means that so many. You have to add some extra shelves over there. Next one, Benton Xavier with the super chat. Thank you so much. Any older films from 1960s or earlier that you like? Yeah, I mean, I don't talk about it a ton on my channel just because of the nature of what has built my audience and what my audience tends to be into. But I love the Dollars trilogy with Clint Eastwood. Even in my video where I talked about 10 movies that everybody must watch, I tried to include several movies from this. I think I don't remember which one is on which list, but you have like a Citizen Kane, Wizard of Oz, Dollars trilogy, I believe, is in there. Stuff like The Great Escape, North by Northwest. Those are some that immediately come to mind. But I'm not a classics person. I'm not a golden age movie fan. I don't want to misrepresent myself in that fashion. And then I also, really appreciated. Akira Kurosawa did some movies that obviously influenced Westerns and Star Wars greatly. And so those are all ones that were always interesting to me. Weston Campbell with Super Chat. Thank you so much. What do you think of I Am Legend? It has Will Smith. Yeah, I talked about this in my video on movie characters that die. I talked about that one. I've only seen it once, even though I kind of loved most of it. I didn't mind the ending. That didn't bug me or anything. I was really into the movie I Am Legend. But the thing that happens in the middle of the film with a certain character in it was just too traumatic for me that I couldn't rewatch it. Basically, that a little bit soured me. I don't know if it soured me on the movie because I don't think that that's the best way to phrase my feelings toward it. I'm not sour on the film. I just don't have interest in rewatching it. It just because it was just too much of a hit emotionally in a way that was unappealing to me. All right. Get this question a lot. Opinions on Rick and Morty. I've never seen it. I've seen 0 episodes of Rick and Morty, so I can't really comment on it. Flip Fung, can you rank the Pixar shorts? I actually started working on that after Onward. I mean, I started going through it. It would have happened. It would have happened in March, but the year 2020 happened. And so it got postponed. So I guess whenever Soul comes out is when it'll happen. But I mean, I'd watched through over half of them. I had notes and everything. I'd already had a big chunk of them ranked, but this year happened and it just kind of threw everything off. Charlie with his super chat. Have you ever considered making your own movie? Extensively. My buddies and I have spent a lot of time debating, like, should we just self-fund like a $30,000 movie? And when we said that, we probably didn't have the money to do it, but that, it was like 5 years ago. And I know at least one of us probably does since one of us has, we put together, but it's the sort of thing that we dream about, but I think we have different enough visions of what we would do. Now I think about it a lot because I'm in this space. And so then there's potential that I would, I think about movies constantly now. And so then it's a little bit more on my mind of like, should I do that? But Yeah, I even especially now that we're in quarantine or have been in quarantine and continue will be in quarantine for a long time. I think a lot about should I just write a script or something like that for something that I could actually make. Cameron Girl, have you seen Oh Brother Where Art Thou? Yeah, I saw it in the theater. I was there opening weekend when that one came out, actually. So I um, always enjoyed it. Thought it was a fun Coen Brothers film. Great music. Man of Constant Sorrows was stuck in my head for years. Maybe it is still stuck in my head. But if you guys haven't seen that one, it's like a retelling of the Odyssey, except it was the 1920s, 1930s with this band on the road. It's interesting little film. All right, it's a super chat coming from Eli Jordan, but I couldn't find it. If you were directing a Batman movie, who would you cast? Who would you cast as Batman and the Joker? It's a little bit trickier than that because it's a matter of I don't have to know what my story was about. I'm more interested in doing a Batman TV show than a Batman movie because there it is because I think the character lends himself to long form detective storytelling. So I'd want my Batman to be kind of a like that. So I haven't thought as much about who I'd cast in the movie. I always want unknown. So I'm not going to have particularly satisfying answers for you. My Batman, I would not pick like let's get this A-lister from this other franchise. That's not what I'd want to do. I want to have someone that people aren't as familiar with. So I do not have someone like I just with any of these with this premier superhero, which A-lister do you want? I don't want an A-lister. And so I just don't have a fan cast for that. Similarly for the Joker, because we've had so many Jokers recently, I do not have an actor in mind. So I wish I did, especially because of the super chat, I could give you a more satisfying answer. But like my real pitch is that I would like a TV show that runs like 8 seasons and each one is like 13 episodes. It's a whole story arc. There's intentionally a gap between the seasons so more time can pass and you can tell all these great Batman stories and you see throughout the span of the 8 seasons about 12, 13 years of Batman's life. And you get in there Nightfall, you get in there him having a Robin that probably started him at like 17 and then eventually after 2 seasons he moves on, he becomes Nightwing or something like that. Maybe Damian Wayne comes, something like that. But the whole that's what I would want to do is a TV show is what more I have in mind than necessarily a movie. Some of your questions, you're asking me some stuff like, have I seen The Walking Dead? Read my description. I have not. There's a bunch of shows I haven't watched. All right. Here's what I keep getting. Nicholas, Fassbender, McKellen. I think I would actually go Fassbender on this one. I think that there's a little bit more of a dramatic flair to his part. And then I think that the franchise had matured a little bit more. And so because it had matured a little bit more, they were able to give him a little bit more meat to it. So that's not a knock on McKellen. McKellen laid the groundwork and Fassbender got to build on top of it. But I think he did a phenomenal job with the movies that he had. Here's a fun one. Valmont 94, Stuckman or Johns. I wouldn't really pick. I've communicated with both of them by this point in time. I met Stuckman at Fantastic Fest last year. Real friendly guy. Actually bought my drink. He bought my drink for me. We had watched a movie together, and he bought my drink. We watched a movie called VFW at this film festival. So a real friendly guy. And then I messaged Jeremy Johns, I don't know, a month ago, 2 months ago, and he responded back. It was real friendly. He knew who I was, which Jeremy Johns and Chris Stuckman know who I am. So I wouldn't pick between the two of them. I mean, if you're looking, I would just basically define what each of them do better. Stuckman's a little bit more analytical and dives in deep a little bit more, and Johns is more entertaining and talks more like your fun buddy talking about a movie. And I appreciate that about both of them. And I've been watching both of them for 7, 8 years now. So my mind is blown that they know who I am. Thoughts on Marvel's Avengers game? I did a video on that 2 days ago. I reacted to 2 different trailers in one live video. That's got all my thoughts on it. Oh, okie dokie. We had some super chats come in. I'm just not like they're not popping up in my little deal here. Unfortunately, it's making this tricky for me to go through things. Okay, one of them ties into what I just said. Would you bring Chris Stuckman on the podcast? This is a super chat from the trailers and movies. I've invited him. I invited him last December before I started it, as I was just trying to set the stage for everything, and he gave me a tentative yes. But give me a tentative yes, but he said he was about to go into pre-production on a movie, so he couldn't do it. And then he said, follow back up in March. So I followed back up in March, early April, 3-4 months later, like he told me to. But what had happened by then? Well, the year 2020 happened. And so I haven't heard back from him. So, and I haven't followed back. I didn't want to harass him. I didn't want to, annoy him or anything like that. So I probably should follow back up in the near future. So that's something I need to do, but that hasn't happened quite yet. Had a super chat from Gamerman X9000. Weird Al makes the Phantom Menace seem good. That's actually kind of true, but I think that's the thing about the Phantom Menace, and I've said this repeatedly. My How to Fix, I think, made this point. The general structure and idea of it, there's a lot of really good ideas in there. It's the specific execution and pacing of it that kills it. When you have Jar Jar stepping in poo-poo, we got throws the whole movie off. When you have the movie like jam-packed with action, 30 minutes of Senate hearings. We got some pacing problems here. So I think that's what kind of messed it up. TJT reviews, any upcoming director rankings? No, I don't have any lined up. I put out a poll recently and to get kind of feel where people are at. And so then that's my starting point for what I'm doing for that. And then I'll probably poll people to like exactly answer, find out exactly what they want and work towards that. I'll tell you right now, the thing I think is next that's kind of in that category is that I'm going to rank the IMDb top 10 in the near future. IMDb top 10. And because of that, 2 of the Godfather movies in there. So the Godfather trilogy is probably coming in the near future. And then I'll probably do a deeper dive into the Lord of the Rings trilogy as a ranking. It'll be like 12. I have a ranking of all 6 movies in that continuity, but it's 5 minutes long. So that's not very much time on each movie. So I'm going to do a video. It's probably going to be about 12 minutes long on just the Lord of the Rings trilogy, probably in the next 6 weeks. IMDb top 10, probably in the next 6 weeks. And that's some stuff that's working towards. And there is planning on being a 31 on 31 on July 31st that's Marvel and DC related. I can't say much more than that, but you could probably figure it out. So a 31 on 31, 31 movies ranked, and it's Marvel and DC related. You can put that together. Coralian 4432 asks, can you rank all the Stephen King adaptations? I'll tell you right now, that will never happen. I will never rank all the Stephen King adaptations. And if you stop and think about it, you can figure out why. There's 70 Stephen King adaptations. So if they're all just 2 hours long, that's 140 hours of movie watching to do one video. There's no possible way to justify that. Even if I knew it would get 1 million views, which it won't, I just don't know that it could be worth that much of my time, because it's 140 hours dedicated to one video is 140 hours I'm not doing other things. How many weeks of work is that to do one video? Beyond that, no one else has seen all 70 Stephen King adaptations, in which case I'm just doing a video all by myself. So that's the problem with it, why it'll never happen. And I'll probably do something like top 10 highest grossing Stephen King adaptations ranked. But all Stephen King adaptations, there's 70 of them. You probably could name 20. If you're a horror fan, maybe you could list 40. But no one can sit there and name all 70. Like, they just don't know what they are, because they've just adapted so many of them. Majestic Demon asks with a super chat, thank you so much. Have you seen The Killing Joke? I believe I have a review of it on my channel. So it's not just that I've seen it, I've reviewed it on my channel already. I did not like it. I didn't think it was good. And it was kind of a really bad idea. So it's a really short little comic book that I don't think that lends itself well to being adapted to the big screen, because it's so short, because it's like 30 minutes. And so to make it a film, they had to put this prologue on it. And the direction they went, to use a current trendy word, was problematic. I mean, it's like a guy dating a coworker and Batman sleeping with a much younger girl on the roof of a building. And then later in it, like, she's tortured as a motivation for men. Like, it's just like, what were you guys like? This is not a good idea. What were you thinking? ranking. Have you seen the Spectacular Spider-Man TV show? No, I don't think I've seen any of it. I might have, but I haven't. Yeah. Alex, what's your take on Inception? I'll be reviewing it soon. I mean, I guess you haven't noticed, like, weren't aware, but I'm reviewing all of the Nolan films leading up to Tenet. So I'm already 3 movies into it. So I've reviewed 3 of them already. So Inception will be in like a month or so, 3 weeks from now, something like that. And then I have a ranking of, I've talked about Inception in some of my favorites videos of the decade and my Nolan ranking. So I've got thoughts on that out there in the world. Have you seen the BVS Ultimate Edition? Yeah, that's kind of the only one I've watched. I don't know. Does anybody watch the theatrical cut? I've only watched I've only watched that one since it came out on home video. Would you ever do a top 3? What he's referring to is real. That's a real thing. I on his channel, it's me talking about top 3. That he's referring to a real thing. He's not lying. I think I sent him the footage today, actually. I believe that happened. Questions. Virginia, do you consider yourself famous? It's weird. It's a weird definition of famous, because certainly in my corner of YouTube, I'm famous. I think that you would have to say in my corner of YouTube, people know who I am. So if fame is defined by people know who you are, in a space on YouTube, it seems like everybody knows who I am. If you get to the point in time where the top people kind of in your space, Jeremy Johns, Chris Stuckman, if they knew who I was whenever I first communicated with them, I guess that means that I'm famous. But if I go to my gas station, no one knows who I am. If I go to my movie theater, no one recognizes me. So it's a weird deal to be. It's a very strange thing to have internet fame in the current era, because it's so niche to where nobody knows who you are outside of your niche, but in your niche, everybody knows who you are. And like when I respond to people on Instagram, because I respond to almost all of my messages on Instagram, I almost respond to 50 or 100 messages almost every day on Instagram. And so if you want to communicate with me, Instagram's a great place to do it. So I'll do that. And then they're always, oh, wow, I didn't think you'd respond. You're the first famous person to respond to me. I'm just a guy in the suburbs on my couch, just on my phone doing this. My life isn't exciting at all. I just have an interesting job that a lot of other people would like to have. So it's interesting. It's an interesting experience. Have you seen the Narnia films? Yeah, and I'll probably rank them soon. Probably will happen. I can see that being a thing. I plan on, because it's something I can watch with my kids now and they'll appreciate. Charlie, any plans to do Wes Anderson ranking when the French Dispatch comes out later this year? I think that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure I'll rank the Wes Anderson films when we get the French Dispatch. I'm trying to do a better job of making those ones, and when as some of these directors come out and catch it on the front end, so I can make them happen. Especially with I can do that with directors that have maybe up to about 15 movies. Especially if I do it now, get ahead of it, I can do that. But Scorsese, Spielberg, when you start getting over 20 movies, it's just too much. It's incredibly difficult to ever watch that many movies just to do one video. And that's the key thing, spending 30 hours, 60 hours for one video, that's a big investment. Crashing Coyote with the super chat. Thank you so much. Have you seen Lucifer, and how do you feel about Jeffrey Dean? I guess that says Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I think. I haven't seen Lucifer. I haven't seen any of Lucifer. I've seen 0 episodes of Lucifer, unfortunately, so I don't have a more satisfying answer on that one. I'm a big fan of Jeffrey Dean Morgan, all the way back to I first saw him on Grey's Anatomy is the first thing I believe I saw him in. And so he popped it was, and I only watched 3 seasons of the show, and basically as soon as he was off the show, I stopped watching. But he just had this persona that he was as just this random guy in a bed, and I think that might have even been the thing that kind of gave him the exposure to get the career that he's had over the last 15 years. But I've enjoyed him in everything that I've seen him in over the years. Mohammed with a super chat. Thank you so much. Views on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1973, Sleepy Hollow 1949. I have actually never seen any Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. Not one of them, which is kind of funny because they're filmed right around where I live. The routes that I used to do when I delivered paint, I would drive by a cemetery that's in the movie. I would drive right by where one of the houses was at. And actually did a couple little videos on my second channel, vlogs, where I was like, hey, right over there, that's where Texas Chainsaw Massacre was filmed. But I haven't seen any of them. That's actually prime candidate. In this October, I think I'm going to watch and rank all the movies this year. As for The Legend of Sleepy Hollow from 1949, now, I haven't watched it in a long time, but I used to watch it all the time growing up. That was kind of one of those Disney classics that we had on VHS, or someone we had, maybe our grandparents had it. And so I'd seen it many, many times in that context. But it's been a long time, unfortunately. I get this question all the time these days. Thoughts on Dark on Netflix? I haven't seen any of it, unfortunately. I wish I had a more satisfying answer for you, but I haven't seen any of it. People say you should check it out. It's fantastic. You probably love it. But I just haven't watched any of it. Brevins Flicks in Games. Hey, Sean, hope you're doing okay. I plan to review 1989 Batman film sometime this week because Michael Keaton thing. Can you support me? I'd really appreciate it. What are your plans for the 4th of July? If you can support me, I'd appreciate it. I guess that's a shout out to everyone else. We got a fellow movie critic person. Go check out his channel. Go see what he's got over there. It's Brevins Flicks in Games. I guess you can click on his name wherever he is in there. Brevins Flicks and Games. People I'd recommend go checking out his channel. Support smaller creators. I think that's always a positive thing. Everybody starts somewhere. At one point in time when I started, when I technically started this channel, I had 7 subscribers. So everybody starts somewhere. Support Brevin. And he asked, what's your plans for the 4th of July? I have no plans. I have 0 plans whatsoever. I have no plans at all. Death Star, what kind of camera do you use? So in my description, not on this description for this video, but on all my regular video descriptions, there's a link to all of my equipment. This is a webcam that's a Logitech 930E or E930. So it's a wide angle webcam. And then before that, my other webcam that I've used for all the first 3 years of my channel was basically using the C920 Logitech. That's how I built my channel. I didn't have a big fancy camera. And then about a year ago, I bought a Canon M50. Super chat from Majestic Demon. Thank you so much. Jeffrey Dean Morgan was amazing in Walking Dead season 7. That's what I hear. He was fantastic as Negan. I have not watched that show, unfortunately, to know anything specific about that. Oh, my software giving me trouble again. I lost something. Okay. Multiplex 5460. Will you be reviewing Supergirl season 5 and ranking all 5 seasons? No, I will not. I'm done with Supergirl as far as I know. I don't really plan on watching any more of it or doing any more videos on it. I really wanted to watch all the Arrowverse shows, but I just didn't really like Supergirl. I just didn't like it. And it was homework watching it. It wasn't, I'm watching this because I'm enjoying it. There's just too many things that just did not work for me about the show. And I like to be positive. And so doing videos where I was trashing something or anything, I'm just not interested in doing that. And so, that's the backstory on why I stopped. And also why I was I'm not going to keep watching Supergirl. I don't want to watch Legends as homework. I don't want to feel the way about this the way that I did about Supergirl. So I just didn't do it. And then likewise, my Supergirl videos don't do very well. My Flash videos, Arrow videos were people on my channel like those, but Supergirl videos did not do well. Alexander McMillan with Super Chat. Thank you so much. Have you seen an 80s movie, The Outsiders? Unfortunately, I haven't. I wish I could give you a better answer on that one, but I have not seen it. I don't even think I've seen the trailer for it, but I wish, because it was a super chat, that I had a more satisfying answer than that, but I simply have not actually seen it. Owen Lodge with the super chat. Thoughts on Stranger Things 4? I'm excited for it. I'm intrigued by it. I guess we'll see what happens, but I don't think we've seen like a proper trailer. We've had that teaser thing that like gave us a plot point, but we haven't seen like, here's what the plot is. So I don't have too many thoughts on it. Besides, I've enjoyed 2 of the 3 seasons thus far, so I would assume that I would enjoy whatever's to come next. Here's a question I get all the time. Can you rank all the seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? No, I haven't seen it. That's down below in the description. I wrote that. I have not seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I can't rank the seasons right. I could rank them, but wouldn't be very exciting. I'm Batman. Batman or Superman? Yes. Yes is my answer to that one. I don't have a more specific answer. Ginger Cat, do you like Amazon Prime's The Boys? I have a review of it on my channel. You can check out my thoughts on it there. Austin, would you have Dan Murrell on your podcast? I would have Dan Murrell on my podcast if he would come on my podcast. I don't know him. I've never communicated with him. It has crossed my mind to reach out to him now that he's kind of gone solo. And therefore, he might even be particularly open to it because he might maybe want the exposure or something like that. But, he, in the scheme of things, technically at the moment, I have more subs than him. But in the terms of who's a lot more famous on YouTube Filmverse, he's way over where I'm at. And so, if he would come on my podcast, I would have him on my podcast. I haven't reached out yet. I've never communicated with him in any form or fashion. No reason for that. I live in Central Texas. He's in LA, and I don't know a lot of people, and I just haven't messaged him yet. But it has crossed my mind. It's even crossed my mind recently. Whit Williams, thoughts on Space Force? I didn't like it. I have a review of it on my channel. Super Teddy, hey Sean, have you played Minecraft? They had a recent update. I highly recommend it. Big fan of the show. I've never played Minecraft, but that's all my kids play. They're constantly on it. And actually, I think that update crashed our PlayStation 4. They didn't have TV or video games for a week because they did not have good attitudes, which in my household is really difficult when the kids can't watch TVs. That's watching movies is what I do. So they got back. There was this big update. Even the music was different. It worked for like 2 days, and then it hasn't been able to open the last few days. But I haven't. But like my son has. He's 8, and he spent his own money to buy dungeons, and he's all in on the Minecraft. He has Minecraft Lego sets, Minecraft pillows, Minecraft shirts, Minecraft clothes, and the only music he likes is Minecraft parodies. That's the music he listens to is Disney music and Minecraft parodies. So, but I've literally never played Minecraft. I'm heavily debating. I'm going to probably in the very near future, probably even tomorrow, maybe even tomorrow, on my second channel, posting some video game videos of me playing video games, and maybe me playing it for the first time would be a fun video that have my kids trying to teach me how to play Minecraft. Sid Smith, thoughts on Tenet? I've got a bunch of videos talking about reacting to the trailers to it. I'm obviously doing a Christopher Nolan lead-up series to it because I'm excited about it. It's a Christopher Nolan film, so I'm extremely excited. And he always has these great ideas, so I'm very excited about it. But I've got done most excited, anticipated movies of the year. It's on there. I've got a ton of stuff, but I'm of course pumped about Tenet. Can you rank all the Ice Age films? It's on my mind. In light of I'm trying to do some of these, slowly make my way through a bunch of these animated franchises. So it's on the list. It's on the short list, not the long list. There's always a long list of oh yeah, I've thought about it. And then there's the short list of ones that it's okay, what's next? So Madagascar is probably next in that regard, but that one is certainly on my mind as well. Okay. Oh, sorry. I missed a super chat from Tommy, I believe. Thoughts about the Ayer cut? If you'd told the day that the Snyder cut was dropped, some people started saying, now the Ayer cut. And I was like, give me a break. I'm rolling my eyes. David Ayer was involved in that all the way up until the movie came out. This is ridiculous. We don't need an Ayer cut. But as soon as Snyder Cut was announced, David Ayer on his Twitter became very vocal that his cut, the released cut of Suicide Squad, is not his cut of the movie, that it was reworked. All the rumors are true. I mean, and he's been extraordinarily vocal about it. And as soon as he became vocal about it, I'm on board. I love to see. I much prefer to see the director's actual vision for the film. I love alternate versions, so I'm 100% on board for Aircut. Whatever was going on with WB, they were micromanaging. They were directing by committee. They hired auteur directors with very clear visions for what they wanted, and then they had the studio heads came in and messed everything up. So I'm. Hey, buddy, what's up? My son is right here. Guess you can walk over here if you want. 250 people are watching you right now.
Hello.
Yeah, what's up?
I was wondering. I've been sitting outside.
Wait, have you been listening? You've been spying on us?
No, I've been at.
That was a yes. I saw it in his eyes.
No, I've
Chloe, over here. Chloe,
I've
over
been
here.
sitting there for 5 minutes. That's
Did
all.
you heard the Minecraft discussion?
Yeah.
And that's what inspired you to come in here?
No, I was gonna ask.
Okay, you've got a question for the Q&A. Gotcha. What is it?
Me and Chloe don't know what to do because we just finished our Pokemon card game. So we came in here to ask if maybe we could play Lego Dimensions.
Because there's not much to do because Mom is not here
Okay.
and stuff.
Yes, you can go play Lego Dimensions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dada.
All right.
Bye-bye, everybody.
All right. Where were we at on our questions on here? Okay. David Aircut. Yes, I'm totally on board with it. I absolutely want the haircut because the director has made it clear that there's something different about it. Kyle McGowan, have you ever read the Long Halloween comic? So yes, I've read the Long Halloween. If you guys don't know, Long Halloween is a Batman graphic novel or Batman storyline from early in his career. If you're looking for kind of a trilogy telling the start of his story, you do Batman Year One, you do the Long Halloween, and you do Dark Victory, and that kind of walks you through. He returns to Gotham. Commissioner Gordon becomes his partner. Dark Victory, the weirdos start to show up. Harvey Dent, Two-Face, all that stuff starts to happen. And then Robin shows up in Dark Victory. And so it's like a good telling of the classic Batman stuff and kind of the start of all of it. Absolutely. That's the stuff that I love. That's top 5 graphic novels for me. Batman Year One is my favorite. And then Long Halloween in there as well. What's your favorite comedy? Actually, I misread that originally as what's your least favorite comedy. I was like, least favorite? I have no clue. What's your favorite comedy? Man, I don't know. I really don't have answers for things like this if I haven't made a video on it. Like, I don't have a list of my 10 favorite comedies. And that's why I haven't done the video. I don't have an obvious list. I'm not, for whatever reason, as much as I like to laugh, I don't have I'm not as much of a comedy guy as you might think. And so I don't get like that upper level of like enjoyment out of comedy films that I do out of action comic book movie ones. So, unfortunately, I don't think I have a good answer for you, but it also depends on what you define as a comedy. Is Ghostbusters a comedy? Ghostbusters great. Groundhog's Day, The Wedding Singer. Those are some that kind of come to mind right off the bat. Tony Fish, I want to start MCU. What order should I watch? Release order. Watch them in release order. Just start with Iron Man. That's the way they told the story, so that's the way you should watch them. How many posters do you own? I have absolutely no clue, and it's getting crazier. I've got a fan mail video that I posted one like a week ago where I had all these posters come in the mail. I had a second batch of posters come in the mail, actual full-size movie posters, and I think it was 15 or 20 movie posters going back. Some of them are, I think, 10 years old were in that package. And then of the full-size posters, I mean, it's awesome stuff. But I have no clue how many I have. Alexander, what are your thoughts on famous musicals? Sound of Music, La La Land, The Greatest Showman. I'm not a big musical person. So that's not my genre. So I'm not it's not like the genre I default to. So I've seen it. Of course, everybody watches The Sound of Music growing up, but I haven't watched The Sound of Music in 20 years, so I can't comment on it too much. La La Land, I would call it one of the most overrated movies of the last 10 years. I would give it like a B+. I would give it a B+. B+, clearly. I give it a very good movie. Very good movie. La La Land is a very good movie, but I would also probably call it one of the most overrated. Overrated means it's here and people talk about it like it's up here, or it's here and people talk about it like it's here. In this case, it's like way up here, but people say stuff like it's the best musical in 50 years. That to me is overrated. That's the definition. It's very good. And it's even better, I think, in light of Damien Chazelle's filmography, which is to say that he does these stories of people that are obsessed with excellence and perfection and being the best at what they do. And so when you take it in like this movie about drumming, movie about actor and musician, movie about astronaut, all of them pursuing greatness, I think it's a better movie in that context than best musical in 50 years. Greatest Showman is one of the more rewatched films in my household and most listened to soundtracks in my household because my wife went bananas for it. And so she literally went to go see it every single week for like 2 months straight. She was one of the reasons why that movie bombed opening weekend and became a big, gigantic hit. She was taking her friends every week, and we watch it all the time. And the kids are in on it now too. And then we saw Hugh Jackman a year and a week ago, we saw Hugh Jackman in concert in Houston, which is pretty cool. Have you seen Harry Potter and the Cursed Child? Nope. I actually don't even know what the story of it is. I know what it is. I know what the screenplay and the play and everything is, but I have not. I don't know why people dislike it so much or any of that stuff. Do you like Five Nights at Freddy's from Charlie Brunt? No, I've never played it. Don't really know much about it. I'm much too old for that kind of thing. Like my kids know way more about it than I do, and it's not like they've ever actually played it. So, yeah. Origins had a super chat, but it doesn't look like there was a question attached with it. Thank you so much for the super chat. Either way, Zane, will you play the Assassin's Creed games? Probably not. So I got the first one whenever it first came out, and then like I saw the graphics, I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna love this," and I just didn't. Maybe I need to give another one a shot. But the basic premise of it being set in the future and you're taking over, living out the past, I just never really dug that. I didn't like it. I would have preferred it was just a story set in the past. That's like the whole story is kind of this tech, and I just never got into it. And there are things about the gameplay that didn't work great for me. Now, but this was 12 years ago, probably. It was the first one in the series. So I should probably give it another chance. But, we'll see what happens. Falcon B, what are your thoughts on the end of Lost? Yeah. When it happened, I dug it. When I, watching it sitting there in that moment, I was like, oh, cool. I dig this. Oh, man, this is really emotional. And then as it sat with me, it didn't age well. The first 2 seasons, fantastic, especially first season, fantastic. Third season, still good, but you could see it losing a little bit. And those last 3 seasons, I just have no interest in rewatching. Omar, can you rate the Cornetto trilogy? I have an Edgar Wright ranking on my channel. It's in there. So it's done. Oh, just clicked on that one. Crimson Comet Gaming. If you could change one thing about Arrowverse, what would you change? I would change a lot of things about Arrowverse, but the thing that I think the decision that the thing that they got wrong, it's the same idea in 2 different spaces, and that's that they went too much. 2 contexts. Context number 1, on all of starting with Arrow and then with Flash, it started as a small team, and then they just kept adding to it. And so the teams got too big. And so it was, it stopped being special to be a superhero because everyone was a superhero. It's the syndrome principle. And then that happened on the Flash too, of just everybody turned into a superhero. Everybody joined the superhero team. And so they lost a certain dynamic of the shows to where our hero had a normal life with people that didn't know they were a hero, and then they were trying to hide the fact that they were a hero, and then they had their team world. And as soon as it was everybody's a hero and everybody can, Oliver's sister can become a superhero after 3 months of training with her dad, it just lost something. And oh, we just had a timeline change, and now so this person's turning into a hero, this person's turning into a hero. It's just too much. And then on the flip side to it, they had too many shows, and so they had the same guy producing all of them, but instead of producing one show, he's producing like 6 shows. And I guess, and then the third one on there on the too much principle is also too much episodes, too many episodes. They're all of the shows are stretched way too far out. They need to do seasons that are like 8 episodes. You guys are asking about Doctor Who. I actually already talked about that in here, so I can't talk about it again. Like in this live stream, I talked about Doctor Who. Favorite DreamWorks movie, probably How to Train Your Dragon. One of those ones. Whatever everyone I put it number 1 in my ranking is the one that I probably would say. People asking about Rick and Morty. I've talked about that in here already. People asking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I haven't seen it. It's down below in the description. Tony, your kids are amazing. Have them more on here if they like it. Yeah, I think they're actually just now opening up to it. They've been kind of closed off to it, and they couldn't really articulate themselves very well. And so I couldn't bring them on. They'd get on camera and they would just kind of stare at it awkwardly. And more recently, they've started to have opinions. They've started to like see things and be able to say it in a way that was helpful. They couldn't do a 5-minute video talking about a movie, but they can come on and share their thoughts real quick. And, they can get weird and energetic and things. So that's kind of what I've been experimenting with. And it's worked a little bit to do that. Do you watch Big Bang Theory? I've seen the first 2 seasons. I enjoyed it enough. I didn't love it. It just felt too much like studio executives being like, let's write about nerd culture. And all right, look, we referenced a thing. That's funny. Haha. Like it just didn't feel authentic to me. It felt disingenuous, like trying to appeal to a base rather than feeling organically like that group of people. 13 Reasons Why. I don't know what you want 13 Reasons Why about. If you're asking me about the show, I've never watched it. I never will watch it. I find the concept distasteful. I've been a counselor at a high school after a suicide. I've been to the home to talk to parents the day after their 16-year-old son killed himself. And the idea of a TV show sensationalizing that, romanticizing it in a way. And I know people are like, no, it's not that. I mean, it makes it seem awful. Like, sort of. There's other things about it that are very dangerous, and I just can't in any way. I wouldn't want to watch it. There's nothing appealing about that. And I think there's things that are incredibly distasteful about it, especially went on for several seasons. Daniel had a super chat, but no question. Thank you so much for the super chat. Okay. AJ Taylor with a super chat. What's your favorite performance of the last decade? Also, what's your favorite performance so far this year? Favorite performance so far this year would be Ben Affleck for The Way Back, where he's doing almost biographical. I mean, it's obviously not his story, but of his own struggles dealing with alcoholism. So processing through his own struggles. So I thought that was cool. And it ties to my own story. So you had a lot of depth, meat to it. So that's the favorite one. Of the decade, man, I don't know. I'm just not that person to know performances. I don't live in that world to be able to have a good answer for you, unfortunately. I mean, Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal. I mean, he disappeared into that role. I mean, it was pretty amazing what he was able to do. That's one that always comes to mind of just like, whoa, that guy went for it. Of course, I love Stallone, so his performance in Creed. Speaking of that, will you ever rate Creed 2? I did. I have a review of Creed 2 on my channel. I ranked all the Rocky movies after the one, so I'm not sure what you're referring to since I have reviewed and ranked Creed 2. Screen Trooper Studios, if you could change one thing about the Star Wars prequels, what would it be? I mean, it's not one thing once again. Or it's to say the one thing would be they needed to have one creative force for all 3 movies, and they needed to have a direction from the get-go and stick to it. So if that was JJ, cool. If that was Rian Johnson, cool. As much as people hate Rian Johnson, and I get why they hate him for what he did, and I have no shortage of frustrations. He was left. The plot point he was given was Luke is on an island. Come up with the story why. So he came up with the story, but JJ put him on the island. So I think they needed someone else. Like they needed one person to come up with the story for all of this, not play. Let's pass it back and forth and undo it and course correct. And so I think the key thing is one creative force. And yeah. Daniel, what movie do you regret the most not seeing in theaters? It's tough. Trying to remember what have I had seen in theaters that's a movie. I didn't see Warrior in the theater. That's the easy one. Okay, actually it's easy. I didn't see Warrior in the theater. So that's like my favorite movie of the last decade, and I did not see it in the theater. No one did. I'm really bombed. And I was part of it bombing because I was someone that would have loved it and I would have talked about it had I seen it in the theater, but I didn't. And so Warrior, never seen it on the big screen, would love to see it on the big screen. Tejas with a super chat, but no question. I appreciate it. Tejas, why don't you love Finding Dory as much as Finding Nemo? Because it's not as good of a movie. It's not as fresh of a movie. It's too much. I mean, in my ranking, I did give my reasons why. I don't have like a secret reason why I prefer one over the other. That's always going to be the case. Is that my rankings, I say my reasons. There's not like this secret. Like I could maybe elaborate if you said on this plot point, can you elaborate? I could do that. But just in general, like, why don't I like it as much? Because it's too much of a rehash. It's the same concept of someone gets separated and they're going after them to find them. And then they meet wacky people along the way and it follows the same template. So it's just not as fresh. It's not as original. It's a well-made rehash is what it is. And it has some new emotions, some new jokes, some new directions, but it's more of what they did before. Gamer Girl, do you think there's a Raimi cut for Spider-Man 3? I don't think so because they've put out extended cuts of some of these movies before. There's a Spider-Man 2.5. And I think if we had a significant version for something like that, they would release it. I don't think there's a reason why they wouldn't. So I don't think it exists for that reason. Iconic Reactions just got accepted to the top acting university in Ontario, Canada. Congratulations, everybody. If you want to say put a big clapping hands emoji in the chat or whatever, but that's awesome. That's amazing that you're able to have that. I made it, man. Also just watched all of the Pirates of the Caribbean, and the first three are amazing, but the are the other ones. Yeah, it's a weird franchise because part of what happened is that they had a auteur director with a clear vision for the first three in Gore Verbinski. And so he's the guy that had this idea for this tone, this vibe, these creatures. And then when you kind of move past that, you've got someone that you have people trying to do a cover of a great band, something like that. It's not the same thing when and so it's like they were stuck trying to do more of the same without being able to do something fresh and original with it because Gore Verbinski has such a distinct style to what he did. So I don't think it ever fully worked for that reason. Ginger Cat, have you seen Bill Murray's Groundhog Day? Of course. I mean, I saw it in the theater when it came out. But I mean, I've seen it 30, 40 times. Of course, if you've seen the movie once, you've seen it 30, 40 times because it repeats itself. But yeah, I mean, of course, it's a fantastic, phenomenal film, one of the great comedies of all time. Nolan, Spielberg versus James Cameron. Spielberg, he actually still makes movies. James Cameron got sucked off to Pandora, and we haven't seen him in 20 years. We lost him. We lost him to his obsession with being number one or whatever's going on with him that he stopped making movies. I'd love to have him back. All right, had some missed a super chat from Monster91. What do you think of the Stargirl show? I haven't seen it, unfortunately, so I don't have any thoughts. If I'd seen it, I probably would have shared my thoughts somewhere, but I haven't seen any of it yet, unfortunately. Sorry. I wish I had a more satisfying answer for you. Okay, you've been asking a version of this one. Have you seen the Days of Future Past Rogue cut? Yes, I've seen it. That's the version I own. Where is it? Not right there. There it is, right there. Yes, I've seen it. I don't think it radically changes the movie, but it's nice to have Rogue again, and it's a little bit weird that of the things to cut to trim the movie down that they would cut out Rogue, but they corrected that very quickly as soon as they could put it out on video. I had a super chat from Iconic Reactions once again. Really wish we could get a Big Hero 6 sequel. Also, Hancock 2 needs to happen. Somehow, Jumper is very underrated. All right, we got 3 things in there. Big Hero 6, I think, is just prime for a sequel. It just seems like an obvious one of like the world lends itself to a sequel very easily. Hancock, if you guys don't know, this is a Will Smith superhero movie from 13 years ago. Probably would have done even better had it come out 5 years later. Here's my problem with the movie Hancock. The first 2/3 I think is great. And then I feel like the last third of the movie is like the inferior sequel tacked on at the end of like, oh, you took this in a weird direction and answered questions I didn't want and twisted things. And I wish this was our movie right here. The first 2/3 was the whole thing right there. And we didn't have this last third. That feels like the inferior sequel that we already got. I would love to get a Hancock 2 that did the first 2/3 of that movie justice. And if you've seen the movie, there's a big twist 60-70% of the way through it where they reveal something about someone and you're literally watching it and it's like, wait, what just happened? And as soon as that happens, the movie goes off the rails for me. But I would love it if they'd I would love it if we could get a better version. What do you think of Jordan Peele's movies? I have reviews of them on my channel. I believe both of them are reviewed. So you can check out my thoughts in those videos. Bacon Dude, would you ever do a list of movies that you think are most overrated, underrated? I don't know. I don't know because I don't like the terms very much. I don't think they're very useful because they're defined so loosely and they're defined so differently by everyone. And so when someone says something's overrated, first off, they're not even sure what they mean when they say that. Like they'll say Avatar is overrated. I don't know. A lot of people hate Avatar. A lot of people say it's very mediocre, but they say it's overrated because it made a lot of money. I don't know anyone that's bananas for Avatar or in real life. I've met some people online that are bananas for it, but I don't know anyone in real life. But people say it's overrated. Why? Because it made a lot of money. They're terms that I think are very tricky, and we can't agree on what is high rated, what's low rated, and stuff like that. So, that's why I have it. I'm sure it would do well. My video where I talked about my unpopular opinions was my attempt at something like that. But, questions. Are you into Bond films? If not, why? I mean, I have Bond rankings on my channel. I was watching them and ranking them leading up to the new release. It just got postponed. So you can look up my thoughts on Bond movies on my channel. So they're out there. I've praised some of them. I've been negative towards some of them. Mini Syriac, I love your video. Thank you. I appreciate it. Are there any movies, Movie Micah, are there any movies that have a rotten rating that you love? Tons of them. I mean, I've done some of my unpopular opinion videos where some of that's just right in there. But you know, I think everybody has tons of movies that they love that have rotten scores on Rotten Tomatoes, because rotten just means it's below 60%. That's not even, you could just say Man of Steel's rotten. I love Man of Steel. So there's an easy one that 50% of people would probably agree with or something like that. But yeah, I love Van Damme movies. I love Seagal movies. Most of them are rotten. There's a ton of movies that are rotten that I love. Are you into Lord of the Rings? You clearly didn't watch my unpopular opinions videos that I've done, because I have talked about that in there. What's your favorite Fallen movie? I have a ranking of them, so you can hear my thoughts on all of them there. Do you think Mission Impossible is better than James Bond? Because I do. Yes, I think Mission Impossible is better. It's much more consistent. Obviously, there's far fewer of them, but they're much more consistent even within the last 25 years that the two have existed. Bond has always kind of done this stuff. Are you playing The Last of Us? I am playing it. I am in the process of playing it. I am not very far into it, but I am into it. Charlie Bushman, have you seen The Disaster Artist and The Room? I have reviews up of both. I have a video on best worst movies ever that talks about The Room. I might have a review of The Room too, and then I have a review of The Disaster Artist. I think I had it in my number 1 for that year. So I've prominently talked about it on the channel in the past. Cool Math Guy, favorite Planet of the Apes. I have a ranking of that on my channel as well. I mean, I keep saying on some of your questions. Just type in my name, Sean Chandler, Planet of the Apes, and you get it. Disaster Artist. A lot of these ones, I've got like 12, 13, 1,400 videos on my channel. So I've talked about a lot of different things. So if you just type in my name plus it, you'll discover my rankings of some of this stuff. Odor Cheese, will you ever make reviews on the Under Siege movies? I uploaded the club video, by the way. If you don't know him, he mentioned this in your chat before, but I shot a clip for him talking about action movies for his channel. So if you head on over to his channel, you'll get a little snippet of me talking about 3 of the top action franchises ever. Nah, I doubt I'd ever review the Under Siege movies because there's no demand from my audience. There's just none. Just doesn't exist. They're young. They've never seen Under Siege. So it just wouldn't do well. It's not a movie that people talk about, so no one would click on it. My reviews, I'm reviewing Nolan movies right now. No one clicks on them, so Under Siege isn't going to go anywhere. Rudy, what do you think of Minions Rise of Gru? I mean, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any trailers for it, and I'm sure it'll be terrible. The first Minions movie was terrible, and so it's the sequel to the worst of a franchise. I have no excitement for it whatsoever, because I mean, I thought the movie itself was kind of cynical to exist. Like, let's take these side characters that can't talk and we know people pay money to see more of them. Ta-da! Very distasteful. Majestic Demon, I think the post-credit scene of Big Hero 6 teased a sequel. So there's, I don't remember if there are 1 or 2. The one I remember is the Stan Lee cameo. So I don't remember if there's another one or if that one teased a sequel directly, but the whole plot of it, of them becoming superheroes, lends itself to more adventures out there. Okay. All right. Trying to find a good question. People asking about the show Lucifer. I haven't seen any of it. I haven't seen Walking Dead. I haven't seen Game of Thrones. I haven't seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I can't have thoughts on it. Rotten Tomatoes is a joke. Half-Blood Prince, arguably the worst Harry Potter at the same percentage as Batman Begins. I mean, people don't understand what Rotten Tomatoes is, and therefore they want to trash it because they just don't get it. So if you want to make a strong argument about times where they were off, sure, there's an argument to be times where they were off or they made said things that didn't make sense, or there's any number of things you can say like that. But most people don't understand how it works, even though it's very simple. It's the percentage of critics that recommend a film. It's hundreds, maybe now thousands of critics aggregating their scores. Rotten Tomatoes isn't assigning anything. They are literally aggregating hundreds of movie critics on a binary scale. Do you recommend it? Do you not recommend it? And it's the percentage that recommend it. That's what it is. And so saying like arguably the worst, or it's just misunderstanding how some of it works. Keep getting this question. Favorite Rocky or Creed trailer? I mean, I have no clue. I mean, comparing 5 of the Rocky trailers are 30 to 45 years old. Comparing a 45-year-old trailer to a trailer from a few years ago, I don't think you have a good. I don't think you have a good comparison there. So I mean, I don't have an opinion on that as to which one, because I just don't think there's anything to discuss there. Are you hyped for Mission Impossible 7? Of course, yeah. They're on a flaming hot streak. So yeah, of course I am. Falcon B, what are your thoughts on Jack Reacher? I liked the first one more than the second one. The second one I just thought was super duper generic. Are you willing to give Game of Thrones another chance in the future? Possibly. I mean, I'm open to it. I mean, part of even the problem is that it's a weird one, because fans are like, this show betrayed me. It ended horribly. Worst finale ever. Da, 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 da. It's terrible. And then I say, I mean, I started watching it, and I watched 2 seasons and I didn't get into it. And they're like, oh, I mean, you've got to wait until like halfway through the 3rd season it's insanely good. Okay, let me get this straight. So the first 2 seasons, you're telling me, oh, well, that's not the good stuff. And the last season and a half, 2 seasons aren't very good. So what? There's like 10 episodes in the middle that are really good. Game of Thrones fans are almost part of the reason I haven't checked it out, because they've sent me such confusing mixed messages about it. Beyond that, some of them have just been mean to me on Twitter. It's just like, okay, this is what Game of Thrones fans are like. Not interested. Daniel, what are your views on Ryan George and pitch meetings? Well, he's a Canadian. What do you say? What's my views on Ryan George? I don't really have views on Ryan George because I've never met him. I've emailed him. We interacted back and forth. He's watched some of my videos. It's pretty cool. I'd invited him onto the podcast. It's not going to work out. He seemed willing, but there's complications that make it so that he's just not able to at this time. But he was real friendly. And I've watched 95% of the pitch meeting videos. If I haven't seen the movie, I probably didn't watch the pitch meeting video. But besides that, I've watched a crazy number of pitch meetings. So we're big fans of them. And I've watched most of them many, many times. Thoughts on Grand Theft Auto San Andreas? I haven't played that one. I played Vice City. I played regular Grand Theft Auto 3. Played half of Grand Theft Auto 4. I didn't really like that one. I had the original Grand Theft Auto when it first came out. I was an OG. I was a early adopter to Grand Theft Auto. And then I loved Grand Theft Auto 5. Will you do a review of Almost Famous? Nope. I can't imagine that ever happening. If I did that one, 10 people would watch it. I'm reviewing Nolan movies right now. Christopher Nolan, one of the most popular directors right now, and they're my weakest performing videos of the last 30 days by a good bit. Like, they're just not doing well. So people always want me to do retro reviews, but they want me to do different retro reviews, and they don't click on the retro reviews for the other movies that other people want me to do. So I've stopped doing them for that reason, that they don't connect with people. So every time I'm like, hey, let me try this one again. Then it doesn't work. Every time I do a retro review, it makes me go, I don't know, why did I do this? No one is interested. No one cares. What's your favorite Spider-Man movie? I've got a ranking, so I don't want to talk about that here, since I've got another video where I talk about all that. Would you rank all the Battlefront games? I mean, the problem with all video game rankings is that a video game takes 20 hours to play through, or to explore all the different facets of it and unlock stuff. And I just can't do that for multiple games at a time. Like, it's really, really tough to do that. Some of you guys are even asking about more retro reviews right after I just talked about retro reviews. It's the same answer. Like, Jaws is more likely to happen, because someone asked about Jaws. That's why I mentioned that. But it's just, retro reviews just don't do well on my channel. Would you rank the Fast and Furious movies? I have. I keep getting a lot of these questions where people are asking me about things that I've already talked about. Like, what's my favorite Spielberg movie? I have a video where I talk about that. So just look into some of this stuff. And you just search for my name plus your question, and you'll find answers to a lot of your questions have already been answered with an exclusive video on that exact subject. I got a whole bunch of Harry Potter questions. I'm not a big enough Harry Potter fan to do deeper dives into it, so that's why that'll probably never happen. Like I've gone through 3 of the books, but I'm doing it just because I think it's a good idea to do it because of my channel, because they're popular movies. But I'm not a fan of them. Not a fan of the movies. I don't hate them. So, Caden Mayo, do you enjoy your job on YouTube? Yeah, it's not a job. That's the cool thing about it. I'm just doing what was my hobby. My hobby turned into what I make money doing. It's not a job where I work for someone for 8 hours and they pay me an amount of money. I work whenever I want, doing whatever I want, talking about whatever I want. If I don't want to talk about something, I don't have to. So it's great. I've always wanted to be an independent, or for about 8-10 years, I've been wanting to be an independent content creator, and I am talking about movies. It's awesome. Today I was like, I'm kind of bored right now. What do I do? I'm working right now. This is my job right now. I'm talking movies with you. Like, this is awesome. So there's frustrations that come with it. I had a guy direct message me videos, screaming at me, cussing me out, saying, "Oh, you think you're better than this because you're a recovered alcoholic? I hope your wife leaves you." A guy sent me a video saying that 5 days ago. Why did he send that? Because I didn't respond to his Facebook message fast enough. I hadn't checked Facebook for a couple of days because the app's not very good. I didn't check it. So he went off on me. You said you check your Facebook messages, blah, blah, you just think you're better than us, and I hope your wife leaves you. That's weird. There's pressure that comes with it. So when you fail, when you mess up, a ton of people bring it up and point it out to you. But it's the dream situation for me to get to do this. And I get to explore things. I'm working on some projects behind the scenes I never would have been able to do before. So it's awesome. Broken Wolf, would you rank all 15 DC animated universe movies from Flashpoint to Apocalypse War? Let's see let me see if I got something I can show you real quick. I don't know if you can, it'll let you see. No, it won't do it. Can't get it to work. That is my file right there. DC Animated Movie Universe ranked. I started working through it about a month ago. I'm through Justice League versus Teen Titans, so probably about 3 weeks from now, that video will happen. So it is in the works. Gamer Girl, have you played Star Wars Rogue Squadron? No, I haven't. Whatever the new one they're working on that they just put out the trailer for, I'll play that one and rank that one and everything. If you started a second YouTube channel, what would it be about? I don't understand the question. I have 2 other YouTube channels. I posted on one of them today, and I shared it on my community tab for this channel. So I have 2 other YouTube channels. So the question does not apply. Oh, I missed some. Looks like I missed a couple things. Casey Mixon had a super chat, but no question. Thank you so much for that. Charlie Hutchings, have you ever watched Farscape? Unfortunately, I have not. I have not watched any of Farscape whatsoever. Tommy with the super chat, thank you so much. Have you played Resident Evil games? I've played some of them. I think I played a couple of them, but none of the recent ones. So I don't know if the gameplay's improved, but the way they used to work, and it was like very scene-based, and I thought the controls were awkward. It was like one room, and then you'd move to the next room. I just did not like the gameplay of the ones I did play, so I never got into them really. So that's unfortunately that's kind of my answer on that one. Casey Mixon had another super chat. Top 10 action scenes. Okay, top 10 action scenes. It's really tough to like come up with a top 10 off the top of your head. So I'm making crap up. So I'm listing off some that I think are really good that I really enjoy, but I am making crap up. The final mall fight in Police Story, fantastic. The fights in Drunken Master 2, fantastic. Ong Bak and the Protector with Tony Jaa have a whole bunch of fantastic action scenes. Tony Jaa was a phenomenal for a few years there. Matrix, all the action in there is really cool. The Raid, pretty phenomenal. Just the Raid is just jam-packed with just awesome fight choreography. There's a phrase in top action scenes. John Woo, the film Hard Boiled, has like a 45-minute long shootout that's all intense, all dynamic, all amazing action. Totally different. I mean, the final battle in Endgame is something truly unique in cinema. So those are some. Just listing stuff like that off the top of my head is really tough to do. Alexander, would you ever do with the super chat? Thanks so much. Would you ever do a list of the worst movies ever? I doubt it. I doubt that would ever happen because I don't have a list like that. It's not the same thing as I don't like to do best either. But when you're talking about worst movies, there's all of these low budget, no budget movies that are just dreadful. They're unprofessionally made, but no one has seen them. And then you have movies that are big blockbusters that are professionally made, but wildly ill-conceived or generic or incoherent. And so worst movies ever, I think, is a very difficult category that I just don't have a list like that. I wouldn't have much of anything interesting to say. I'm not the angry guy that rants about stuff. And so it just wouldn't work very well. Nathan Taylor, have you ever watched the Hannibal TV series? It's one of my favorites. I've seen, I believe, season 1, and I really enjoyed it. For network television, incredibly artfully directed and shot. Really impressive stuff. Complex characters, great performances with Mads Mikkelsen, and there's Hannibal before he's caught, and as this mentor. And so I really enjoyed it, but it was just so dark that it wasn't something my wife wanted to watch or could watch with me. And so it became a show that was difficult to check out or to watch. And that's why I stopped. It wasn't the same. It's almost kind of the same thing that happened with Walking Dead. A lot of things like that if I have to watch it by myself, then I lose a certain amount of interest in it. So, maybe I'll catch up on it now, or maybe now that she'd be better at watching and she'd enjoy it. I don't know, but that's the story behind that. I really enjoyed what I did watch it. Would you rank the Rocky fights? I would rank the Rocky final battles. That's on my list. When I did the training montages, I was debating between final battles or training montages. I was watching the training montages more because I'm kind of in a fitness kick right now, and that's the reason I went with the one that I went with. Do you think Avatar 2 will pass Avengers Endgame box office record? Nope. I don't think it has a chance. I didn't think of Avatar had a chance either, but there's just no buzz whatsoever. I don't know anyone that's like amped for it to that degree. And that the novelty of like, wow, look at these effects has passed. And so I just don't know that it can capture that. What will be the date for the watch party for Endgame? I don't know. That's why I haven't scheduled it. That's why I haven't announced it. It has to wait for the universe to come together, right, for things to happen. Hound Syrup, love your channel, man. Thank you so much for the super chat. That is awesome. Very cool. I greatly appreciate it. Will you ever rank the Rush Hour movies? Okay, I don't know if you happened to have watched the fan mail video I posted earlier today with my kids in it. In that fan mail video, someone mailed me the Rush Hour movies. And so I literally just got them on Blu-ray this past week through fan mail. And what I said in that video that's over on my second channel, I posted the link on my community tab, or just type in Sean Chandler vlogs or Sean Chandler fan mail opening, and you'll find this other channel and you'll find the stuff. But what I said in that one is that the first Rush Hour was like this huge movie. I mean, I was there opening weekend. That was right when I had my own Jackie Chan fan page and everything. So I was 100% so psyched that Jackie Chan had a big hit in the US. And then I was so excited when the second one also did awesome. But by the time the third one came out, I was just like in a phase of life. I've never even seen it. I've never seen Rush Hour 3. So would I ever rank the Rush Hour movies? Absolutely, I would. And I can now because I have them, especially now. I don't think any movies are going to be coming out for a long time. I don't think we're going to be business as normal, regular new movies coming out every week. I don't know if that'll happen this year. I'm at the where I'm feeling right now with where these spikes and everything. It's looking very dire to me. So with that in mind, stuff like Rush Hour and like going to some of these older things, prime stuff, prime material for it. Here's a couple. I've got videos on these. Boone, what's your favorite video game? I have a top 10 video on my channel, so you can find out that in that video. Virginia, The Revenge of the Sith is my favorite movie of all time. Do you like it? I have a review of it. I have it in my Star Wars rankings, so you can have my full thoughts on it there. Jason, are you excited for James Cameron returning to directing? Not really, which is heartbreaking because I love James Cameron's movies. But that he got lost in Pandora is just, I don't know, heartbreaking, disappointing. And so it makes it tough for me to get excited for it because I'm so frustrated with all of what he's doing. Oh, here's a good one. Here's a good one. Jaden Daly, have you watched Defending Jacob? If you don't know, this is the Chris Evans Apple Plus TV miniseries TV shows. I think it was 8 episodes based off of a book where he's a assistant district attorney whose son is accused of murder, and his son's like 14. So I watched that about 2 weeks ago. My wife and I watched it, binged it in like a weekend. We really enjoyed all but the last episode. And I'd heard that from people like, goes off the cliff with the last episode. And I would totally agree. Much like what I said about the movie Hancock, the final episode of Defending Jacob feels like the bad second season, where they just kind of tried to keep going down the path and they didn't know how to end it. And so they just kept going further, and it just did not work. And that was my experience with Defending Jacob. The first bit of it, I just thought was very captivating, great, kind of kept you hooked. Every episode ended, and you're like, oh, what about that? Oh, and they kept going back and forth. Is it what's going on? What isn't going on? And then the way that it all kind of was resolved in the end, it's not really resolved. They don't really give it satisfying answers, and so you leave it like, okay, clearly you guys knew how to do the tension game, but not the answer game. Are you going to do community stuff? Yeah, I'll probably have 2 community videos at some point in time. I'm 60, 70% of the way through watching it, been writing notes all along. So I should have a ranking, and I should be able to do a character ranking. I didn't do character ranking for Parks and Rec, and that was probably a mistake on my part in light of the way things have played out. At the time, it made sense. Historically, I don't think it does. It was strategically a bad move. But so I'll probably do seasons and characters, and that's what I'll do for community. Seasons and characters ranked. That's it. Alexander, have you watched the movies Ted and Ted 2? I've seen Ted 1. I haven't seen Ted 2. I actually had a lot of fun with the first Ted movie. I'm not a big Seth MacFarlane guy, but the movie had just enough heart, just enough laughs that I dug it. My wife really isn't into movies like that, so it's not stuff that I put on a lot. And then Ted 2, the trailer just felt stale. It just felt like, so even some of the jokes just felt like they were really desperate. And so I didn't go for it. I couldn't do it, unfortunately. I didn't. I'm mumbling to myself at this point, but I've never seen it. I need to check it out one of these days. Jack O, do you think The Five Bloods will get a Best Picture nomination? It's, I mean, it's such a weird year that I don't even know when they're going to do the nominations if we don't have any movies come out for the next 6 months. So, I mean, if you look at what's out right now, sure, it's got a lot of potential because it's just it's a prestige film that kind of plays to sorts of things that they're into. It's very socially relevant for the year that we're in and stuff that's going on. So I think for all those reasons, it's a prime candidate. I think that that's only because it's a year where we're not going to have a lot of movies, though. I think it's too many people view it as a mixed bag for it to be a serious contender most years. I think that it feels like two different movies, the first half versus the second half. There's a lot of things that it feels like it's a bit all over the place. It's a bit scattershot, and it does. I liked a lot of things about it, but I've seen a lot of people that kind of share that. Ooh, man, this movie's trying to do way too much stuff. Okay. Oh, looks like I missed a few things here. Okay. Evan, will you rank upcoming Star Wars projects? Sorry, I missed your super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. I don't think I will do that because I don't trust that any of them are going to happen. I don't believe that any of them are going to happen. And for that reason, it makes it very difficult for me to rank them. I believe that all of these Marvel shows and movies will happen. Star Wars, they have burned so many bridges by being so unreliable when it comes to announcing projects and then subtly canceling them. Directors drop out. They start shooting it, and then they fire the directors and bring in Ron Howard. And so I think that they have it's bad how much they've burned their reputation. The Movie Buff with the super chat. Thank you so much. Love your videos, man, especially your rankings. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Means the world to me that you guys would watch my stuff. Have you ever watched the Marvel Netflix series? I have 1,000 videos on the Marvel Netflix stuff. I've got reviews of most of the seasons. I've ranked the seasons. I've ranked the heroes. I've ranked the villains. I've done all of that stuff. So I keep saying this in here, but just keep, if you have a question on some of these ones that it's like a big property, just search Sean Chandler and that, Marvel Netflix, and you'll get a ton of videos. What's your most watched YouTube channel besides your own? I don't really know. The ones that here are the channels right now that I watch most regularly. I always check for whatever the new pitch meeting is. I don't watch the other stuff on was it Screen Rant? Watch that one. Minty's Comedic Arts. He does facts about movies. So Minty's Comedic Arts. I always check to see what he's up to. Corridor Crew. Their stuntmen and visual effects guys reacts to. Those are some of the ones that I watch a lot. Anna, have you ever watched Little Files Everywhere with Reese Witherspoon? Highly recommended. Yeah, so I guess you didn't hear this, didn't know this. I got to interview the guy that was the composer, one of the two composers, because it was this composer, Mark Isham, plus Florence and Machines? One of the people from Florence teamed up with Mark. I interviewed Mark for my channel on my podcast and here on YouTube back in, I believe, March or April. And so I watched a few episodes related to it because of that, so I could be caught up to date before I did the interview with him. I think we watched 3 or 4 episodes. I don't know. I think they were dropping them in batches. We didn't continue watching, but even as of just a few days ago, when we were kind of scrolling around deciding what to watch, I saw it and went, oh, should we pause to watch this one? But we haven't finished it yet. So I enjoyed what I did watch, but it wasn't one that hooked me so much that I kept watching. So it's kind of in that category. But yeah, and I don't even know why, because most of all of these other Reese Witherspoon kind of prestige television shows, we watch most of them. That's just that one in particular we just haven't to finish yet. So I need to Even that you mentioned it makes me go, hey, I should go back and finish that. Maybe that's what we'll be watching tonight. Do you ever watch Cinema Sins or Cinema Wins? No, I'm not really interested in what they do. Film criticism by calling it nitpicking and tallying scores, that I literally kind of have no interest in that. If that's what they like, if that's what they enjoy, if that's what other people are entertained by, cool. That's not my kind of thing at all. Just does not work for me. Check over here. Okay, I guess I'll be on just a couple more minutes, and then I gotta head on out. Can you rank the Dexter seasons? Here's my answer on almost every single TV show like this. The answer is no. Dexter might be an exception because of the nature of the seasons, but the problem with show rankings is that I have to rewatch the show to be able to do that, to get like one video, maybe two videos. If I were to do it, I would probably try and crank out a bunch of videos out of it, is what I would try and do. But I don't want to have my channel turn into the Dexter channel. So it's some of these ones just get kind of tricky. But like, people are always like, hey, can you rank the Smallville seasons? There's 10 seasons of Smallville, and they're 20 episodes each. That's 200 episodes of television to do one video. I can't justify that. Can you watch all 10 seasons of Friends and rank the seasons? That's 200 plus episodes for like 3 videos. That's so much time. That is so much time for very, very little content. And every time I do a TV show ranking, then people want me to do more TV show rankings. And so it misrepresents what I'm looking to do in the future every time I do it. And it makes people anticipate things that they're just not going to happen. Someone told me I missed their super chat. Jace with the super chat. Thank you so much. The Office season 9 or Parks and Rec season 1? I'd much, by a factor of 1,000, rather watch Parks and Rec season 1 than The Office season 9. Parks and Rec season 1 is awkward. The Office season 9 is offensive to me. Oh, I guess I missed another one. What's your favorite movie that came out in 2019? I don't remember what was I think I had Ford vs. Ferrari as my top on my ranking, but I have a top 10 video for each year. So I've got a video that goes and elaborates on all of my favorites from last year. Jordan Brooks, thoughts on the Ralph Dibny situation on The Flash? Bringing me into controversy. So if you don't know what he's referring to, basically the guy that plays Elongated Man on The Flash got fired from the show because some tweets he did 7-8 years ago surfaced where he made misogynistic and racist jokes, is basically what they were. What do I think about it? In general, I have I find I have a lot of issues with digging up jokes from 10 years ago and using it to have consequences for today if there isn't a greater context to believe that they're representative of an actual pattern in their life, of if they don't indicate more. That if you can show me that this guy was a really bad person and hasn't changed, I'm tracking with you. But the idea that we looked up the fact that you made a bad joke 10 years ago, and that's the reason today that you can't act on The Flash, I don't understand. I'm not following the logic. It seems like an overcorrection in a very dangerous way. And it's indicative of a couple other things that are very strange, because we literally forgive professional athletes that are rapists, professional athletes, actors, rappers, and more that have committed rape, murder, drug offenses, like hard drug offenses, dog fighting. I mean, you can kind of go through the list of grand larceny. They're actual felons. They've like actually done evil things. We have, Roman Polanski is still making movies, and like he's like child rape, like drugging and raping, and then, but we're angry about a bad joke from 8 years ago. That is alarming to me. It's peculiar. It's weird. It's a very specific to right now of where they gross jokes of, where they poor taste. Yeah, absolutely. But I don't understand our lack of forgiveness for insensitive jokes from 8 years ago, but forgiveness of like if you make a joke about beating a woman, that's unforgivable. But if you have been convicted of beating a woman, then we can forgive you. And maybe there's an element to it of like doing your time, but like it's not a crime to make a really in poor taste joke. If you can show me that this guy did something, I'm tracking with you. But it's a very strange time that we live in, that I don't see the central logic that we're more concerned with what you said that was insensitive than actual bad behavior. It's weird. It's very, very weird. Pull Up Productions, what do you think of Good Time and Uncut Gems? I haven't seen Good Time. Uncut Gems I did see. So I've talked about it in a few places on my channels. On my Instagram account, I have a review of it. If you go back to December, it's a minute-long take on it. But I love that Adam Sandler's doing a serious performance. Thought he did a great job. You know, I would have been on board if he'd gotten some Oscar love. Like, I really would have been on board for that, because it would change the trajectory of his career, and I'd be all for that. But the movie overall, maybe a little bit too much of a gut punch for me, a little bit too maybe cynical. I don't know if that's the way to describe it, but I appreciate it as like a one-shot viewing. I don't know that I would want to watch it over and over. Izzy Meth had a super chat. Hey, Sean, what's your favorite music biopic? I'd probably go Rocket Man. That's not like my favorite genre that I have a clear in my mind. Here's my take on it. But that's one that immediately comes to mind from the last few years, that I thought that was a really well-made story, that I thought had emotion, impact, and it was done in a creative style that matched the creativity of the artist being covered in Elton John. Theo, thoughts on HBO Max? I think they're struggling. I think that I don't know what they were thinking with their launch. And maybe there's a little bit more pressure put on it, because maybe in their mind, they were just doing kind of an amplified version of HBO, and therefore they weren't expecting to need to be a little bit more impressive, but their exclusives aren't very good. Their strategy with content is very ill-advised. Like I put out a video with recommendations for what to watch on HBO Max 1 week after it came out. The day that I published the video, they pulled some of the movies I recommended. That's stupid. Like, that's just stupid to launch a streaming service and pull content from it a week later, days later. And it makes people right out of the gate be like, I don't trust you to have anything on here. Then 2 weeks after that, it was discovered that a bunch of this DCEU content and DC movies that are on there are being pulled July 1st. They're probably going to be replaced by other DCU and other DC movies. But once again, they promoted it and still are promoting HBO Max based off of having certain movies that are being pulled on July 1st. And that's just, it's a stupid thing to do. You can't promote your streaming service on content that's not going to be permanent, or at least reliable for the foreseeable future. So I think they've made some really bad moves in what they're trying to do. Have you watched No Country for Old Men? Actually, I haven't. I haven't seen that one. I'm sorry. Alexander Gonzalez, how many movies do you own in total? No clue. I mean, you can look at my Blu-ray collection video, and that'll show you how many Blu-rays I currently own. But I have 300 DVDs in my garage, so I own a lot of movies. You guys are spamming some questions, and so some of that I'm just kind of ignoring it because you are spamming me. Some of you asking questions I've already tackled, like asking me about like ranking certain TV shows. I just can't. Smallville being the one in question. I've actually talked about why I can't rank Smallville. I have seen all of it, but to rank it, I would have to rewatch 200 episodes of Smallville, and it's just not possible to do to do just one or two videos based off of it. You know, I was a big fan of it, but the show, I watched it while it was originally ran, but I just can't rank it based off 10-year-old memories. Do you watch any gaming channels like PewDiePie or Laserbeam? No, I don't. I don't watch any gaming channels. My kids do. I watch, like I'll watch walkthrough videos, but I don't like watch someone play a game just to watch someone play. If I'm playing Uncharted and I'm stuck on a puzzle, I'll watch a walkthrough. But that's what I do for gaming channels. And I've watched some PewDiePie just because he can be entertaining. So sometimes he just does stuff and I'm like, wait, what's this? Let me check this out. I wouldn't. I don't think I'm subscribed to him. I don't regularly watch his stuff. Oh yeah, and speaking of popular YouTubers, one I haven't mentioned, Dude Perfect. I've got kids. We watch Dude Perfect all the time too. Thoughts on J.J. Abrams' cut of Rise of Skywalker? I doubt it will ever happen. No, it won't happen, and I don't think it really exists. There is some deleted scenes. There is some stuff that's cut, but like if you like, I've listened to the audiobook, and there it's not very different. And the stuff that is different, it's stuff they couldn't do because it's all Carrie Fisher. I don't. There's not like this re-envisioned version of it that it wouldn't fix anything. There's deep problems with that movie that go back to the fact that they didn't have a plan when they did The Force Awakens, and then they let Rian Johnson go down a path that they weren't committed to, and then they course corrected. And so when you do that, you're screwed. Oh, here we go. Jack, you know, you talked about do you think that they will recast Ralph Dibny or another course of action? I don't know, man. I don't know what they'll do. There's certain things we have multiverse where you can cheat this stuff and recast people. He's a side character enough that I think that you can rewrite it or that you can write him out. But it's tough to say. It also depends on how integral he was to the scripts that are already written. So don't know. Have you seen Trolls World Tour? Nope. I might check it out now that it's. I need to do a video on like catch-up reviews, ranking movies that I didn't talk about before, and I've already seen like Emma and some other things, and so I might check it out for that reason. But it's not something I'm in a hurry to watch. Thoughts on Hamilton coming to Disney Plus? I don't really have any. I honestly don't. I'm not. That's not necessarily my kind of thing. So I think I'll check it out, and I might review it if I have something to say. But it's not something that is of specific interest to me. Some of you guys are asking questions about like Pixar movies. I've got a bunch of Pixar rankings that answer your questions. Have you seen The King of Staten Island? I'm pretty sure we're watching it tonight. I'm pretty sure it's happening tonight. So then my thoughts will be shared on Instagram and on my monthly ranking on Tuesday. Okay. I'm going to be on here just a couple more minutes, take a few more questions. So if you really, really, really want me to answer something, send it as a super chat. So I'll definitely kind of cut through and I'll be able to see it and answer it. Otherwise, I've be out of here in just a couple minutes because we're right at the 2-hour mark. So, and it's almost time to start getting ready for dinner time and all of that stuff. A lot of the questions I've been saying this the whole time, but some of the questions you're asking about, like Agents of the Shield and Smallville and things like this. Like I haven't watched Smallville since it originally aired. I've watched episodes, but I can't like rank the seasons. I can't give a favorite season. I haven't watched Agents of Shield. Some of the stuff you're asking me about, I've got videos about Black Widow and the Eternals and what I'm excited for, and so I've talked about a lot of this stuff already, and I talk about it very frequently on kind of like my podcast too. Of all the people you could have on your podcast, have you ever considered Mark Kermode? I don't know who that is, so I can say I have not considered that person because I do not know who they are at this moment. Sorry. Maybe I know their channel, but I just don't know the person's specific name. What would you change to Avengers Endgame? I would trim 10 minutes out of the middle hour. I would dial back the Thorbowski stuff just a little bit. I would pull that back a little bit, rein him in. Don't make it so much of an SNL parody. And I would let Hulk smash people in the finale. Let Hulk actually Hulk out in the finale. When will you rank the DC movies? When you rank the DC movies, will you include the vertical movies like The Kitchen and V for Vendetta? Yeah, the list that I have has the vertical movies. It will have The Kitchen and V for Vendetta. That is my plan. And that'll probably happen when I think it's going to do it with Wonder Woman. I think is when I'm going to do it, because I don't want to go. I want to do it sooner than later. And next year's movies for Batman, I want to do a Batman lead up with Batman movies and the full Batman suite of rankings. So then that means to do something interesting for Wonder Woman would be all DC movies. And basically the sooner I do it means if they do a Justice League 3 years down the line, then I could do it again because they would have added like 10 movies and I could update it. But if I waited too long, then I just don't do it. So it's something that people want to see, but I want to tie it to something. So anyway, those are some of my thoughts on something. Will you ever do a video on comic books? No, I don't think so. I mean, like I might do like my 10 favorite graphic novels. I would do that, but I'm not looking to be a comic book channel, and I don't have a deep enough knowledge to do that. Where does Uncharted 4 rank in your favorite games of all time? I don't know, because I don't know what my ranking was. Like, I don't sit here with my rankings memorized. Like, I create them. Like, I stop and think, and I really I'll brainstorm 30 games, and then I'll go back and forth, and I'll talk with my wife, and I'll really like, okay, what am I forgetting about? Think through systems and computers and all and I just go back and forth. And so I do put all this time into it, but I don't memorize that list. I'm creating it for the video. I don't even remember what was number one. Probably Warcraft 2, but I generally don't. That's not the way I think about it. But to your question, would Uncharted 4 be in my favorites? Pretty sure. But I don't know what like 7, 8, 9, 10 were on that list. I don't know if I would feel comfortable kicking them out to put Uncharted in there, but it's entirely possible. Will you do the rest of the Office seasons? I believe what he's referring to is rank the episodes of each season. I'm not sure. I probably need to give it another try. Basically, what the weird situation I'm in is that I ranked the seasons and characters, and those are insanely big hits for my channel. Even now, 2 years later, both of those videos are still there. During quarantine, over the last 3 months, my ranking of the seasons and characters from The Office are still in my top 10 most viewed videos from this time period, which is awesome. Of all the stuff I've posted over the last 3 months and all over the last 2 years, in the top 10, still getting views, are those 2 videos. And then my top 10 favorite episodes of The Office does really well too. All of my other Office videos are like, do okay. Some of them, not so good. And it kind of took the last 2 I've done actually have not done very good. So that kind of took the steam out of me trying to rank the episodes of the seasons. And the honest answer is the comment section on my Office videos is nastier than my comment section normally is. Some of that's because they're new people, because those are videos that are very popular So they're seen primarily by non-subscribers. So in that regard, they're not people as acclimated to the tone of my channel, of me, of my comment section. But the reality is that the comment section on my office videos is nastier, and it makes it less pleasant. It makes me not want to put out more videos when it's like people being nasty. Virginia, was Ghost Protocol a cool theater experience? I'm guessing you're asking that because I've tweeted about it and I've made some comments about it. I tweeted out a couple days ago, the Dubai sequence in Ghost Protocol is the best sequence I've ever seen in a movie theater. I saw it on IMAX, so there's your answer right there. I keep getting this question. Would you do a board game review? It would have to it would have to be a movie-based game or something like that for me to do it. So if there was like an awesome Avengers board game, it's possible I would review that. Or if it was a movie trivia board game, I would possibly review that. But like, I'm not going to review Sorry. Sorry, we play Uno and Sorry in my house pretty frequently these days. But I'm not going to review them, so it would have to tie back to what my channel is about. Do you have a favorite college team? I guess Texas A&M, but no, I don't. If I had to give an answer, Texas A&M will give you something. What's your favorite movie franchise? I have a top 10 movie franchises from like a month ago, 2 months ago. Your answer is in there. After credits, thanks for filming a Lion King collaboration for my channel. No problem. Cool math guy. Will you rank the Spy Kids movies? I don't know, because I think some of those ones are pretty bad. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to do that. I don't like doing videos where I trash things, so I could feel uncomfortable doing that. If you could rewrite The Office seasons 8 and 9, what would you do? I would end the show at season 7. And I don't mean that to be as it's kind of the cheap answer, but I think history has shown us it's the right answer. Is that as soon as Steve Carell left, they didn't know what to do next. And so they tried a lot of things and I don't think they worked. So I think what you do is you combined the final plot line of the final few episodes of season 9 with Michael Scott departing. And instead of it being Dwight's wedding, you do Michael and Holly's wedding. So maybe you have Michael leave 5 episodes before the end. You do a plot line about the documentary, and then you close it out with the documentary airing. And that's even part of the documentary is that, the wedding and finding happiness. And so that's how you even kind of title, like the message of the documentary is like Michael Scott built a family in this weird family throughout the office. And he's now going to launch his own family. I think you have a real sentimental thing that ties back to what Michael Scott, as pathetic as he was, his passion to have a family and friends, and that he found that in his own way. I think that could have been pretty cool. What do you think about the Mandalorian rumors? I don't know what they are. I don't follow things like that. What's your email address? Not trying to sound creepy. I mean, if you want to send me a direct message, Instagram is the best place to do it. I check all of those. So just say that you're Ginger Cat and I'll know who you're talking about. My email address is just sean@seanchamwoodlive.com if you want to send me an email, but that is not if you're not making a business inquiry, if you just want to like chat back and forth with me, don't send me an email. Do that on Instagram. Email is not for chatting with me. Maybe we'll close out right around here. Do you have some other video plans for when the Snyder Cut comes out? I don't know. It's tough to say because, figure out even what exactly it is. Because there's rumors that they might want to release it in batches. It's like 4 episodes that are an hour long, 6 episodes that are 40 minutes long. there's all these different rumors as to what it might turn out to be. And so it all depends on how they release it, what it actually is, how different it is. But I'm sure I'll make a lot of video content surrounding the release of the Snyder Cut. Anyway, to Super Chat come in. Have you seen A Wrinkle in Time? I have not, unfortunately. I wish I had a better answer for a Super Chat than that. I read the book growing up. Like I read the book. I think there's sequels too, and my sister was really into them, and so I read it, kind of by her lead on that, and had fun with it. And then the movie seemed to ignore a lot of the book, so that was less cool. And then I only saw mostly bad reviews for it, and so that didn't inspire me to go see it. And I actually, the way it worked out, I think my wife and her cousin were going to go watch it. I mean, it was going to be like this big family deal, and then there was just so much bad stuff about it that it just didn't end up happening. Ziggy, do you think Indiana Jones 5 is a good idea? I've talked about this a ton on my podcast, but no, doesn't make any sense. Indiana Jones, the escapism is you have this guy that's intelligent, handsome, athletic, battling Nazis, and I just don't think it works when you. Like Harrison Ford was born in 1942. 1942. He turned 78 this year. They do not have a script, so they will not be filming for another year. So he's 79. So it's going to come out when he's 80. That's just not the escapism, the fantasy that is Harrison Ford. That is Indiana Jones. I just don't think that it works like at all. Kane Ireland, what's your favorite movie series? I talked about this a month ago. I did a top 10 movie franchises, got a whole video, give you my top 10. And it's recent. It's not old. It's not outdated. It's just right a little bit back. Looks like maybe that'll close us out for the day. Yeah. That'll close us out for that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, for watching, caring what I have to say about anything whatsoever, and getting me to 160,000 subscribers. That is awesome. I greatly appreciate it. And keep talking movies too much.